Hello and welcome to the Fossil Huntress podcast. I hope you guys are all doing well. Today on the show, we're going to fly over to the eastern portion of the United States to the beautiful lagerstätte Mazon Creek Fossil Beds, which are Carboniferous, so about 309 million years old, so mid-Pennsylvanian. And this is in northeastern Illinois, so a little south of Wisconsin, a little west of Iowa and Missouri, and just west of Indiana are the beautiful outcrops of Mazon Creek. So wherever you are in the world, close your eyes and fly with me, and we're going to explore some of these beautiful fossil beds that are a lagerstätte, coal seams interbedded with shale, where we find the beautiful Mazon Creek flora. The Mazon Creek fossil deposits extend over a large area of northeastern Illinois, and we know about them because this area is also home to many coal seams. So back in the day when we were exploring a lot of North America, a lot of those early days of geologic survey were done to find the coal deposits. And this part of Illinois has a large history of coal strip mining. And so what they do is they cut away the top layer of shale, which is what you and I are interested in, to get down and expose the coal beneath. And so those coal deposits are made of ancient forests that lived and died millions of years ago, so over 300 million years ago. And those trees absorbed the sunlight and grew and thrived and then died and were compressed into coal. And the individuals today who harvest that coal cut away the top layer of shale, and they take these sort of slag layers of shale and push them off in these heaps to the side. And it's in this shale that we find nodules of siderites or iron carbonate. And it's the carbonate nodules in these little shale dumps where we find the beautiful Mazon Creek fossils. The shale beds here above and below the coal seams tell us of a time when the sea advanced and flooded into the swamplands where those ancient forests grew. And the shale beds we see can range from 20 feet to 60 feet, and we can see the advance and retreat of that ancient sea. So this is a time in the world back in the days of Gondwana, so a time of intense polar glaciation, particularly in the southern hemisphere. And so these glaciations resulted in a series of glacial and interglacial cycles around the rest of the Earth. But in the area where we find the Mazon Creek flora today, so not so far from downtown Chicago, we can see a story played out in interbedded shale and coal. So the very good thing about those folks collecting the coal, again, is that they have no interest in these nodules and in the shale material, which is where we find the Mazon Creek fossils. And I don't know if you saw it or if you're connected to Paleo Joe, but earlier this week he was posting that he'd got a collection of Mazon Creek material, and he timed it with a copy of Jack Witchery's book. So it's a great book on IDing the fossil flora here. So Paleo Joe is more of a Paleozoic trilobite guy, but he was bit by the Mazon Creek bug. So I'm sure you'll see lots of that flora in his stream, and I will post some of these plant materials so you can see the nodules and the plant material inside. So it's a lagerstätte, so amazing preservation of annularia and calamites and all sorts of interesting seeds and other flora and fauna that are very tasty and in some cases only exist in this place in time in this portion of the world. So they're quite outstanding. When we refer to Mazon Creek, we often refer to it as a single locality, a Carboniferous age locality, and it's strongly associated with plant material. So that's sort of the classic locality, but in truth, it's a set of localities, so a set of outcrops, all within the Francis Creek shales, of which Mazon Creek is itself one. And we have the famous terrestrial fossils, so beautifully preserved plants, like just amazing preservation. Some rare insects, centipedes, millipedes. We see scorpions, spiders, and some small amphibians out of here. But within this area, there's also some marine deposits where we find jellyfish, cnidarians, crustaceans, mollusks, worms, and a few rare fish. So it's quite an amazing place of the world in the world. And some of the fossils that we find here, we don't find anywhere else in the world. So it looks like the fossils were formed by a fairly quick burial of material, maybe during a catastrophe and without a lot of scavenging, and so the material wasn't broken up before it had a chance to become a fossil. And so the fossils we do find are truly amazing in preservation. The first plant and animal fossils that came out of Mazon Creek and started to be collected actively started around the 1840s. So we'd been going out looking for coal and harvesting the coal by removing that top layer of shale with those nodules. And then someone cracked open a nodule and saw the beautiful preservation inside. Those nodules made their way to the Field Museum in Chicago. And by about 1855, we start seeing the first papers really coming out in the scientific journals that talked about the Mazon Creek Biota. And within those journals, we included drawings and photographs, and they were spread widely around the world. And so the Mazon Creek Biota became world famous. And we start to see larger collections of that material going to local in the US and foreign museums so that people around the world could take a look and really enjoy the amazing preservation and the diversity of species. More recently, in 2006, Jack Whitry wrote a book, a sort of a cornerstone book, the Mazon Creek Fossil Flora, and it is a wonderful book, and that's the one that Paleo Joe was referring to as he was trying to ID some of the fossils. So some of them are easy, a Calamites is a Calamites, but when you're looking at a fossil seed, it's a little trickier because not all of us have experience with IDing some of that more unique material we find here. So it's a beautiful part of the world, really great preservation. I'll do up a post so you can see some of what's found here, and I'll talk to you very soon.